playing guitar, writing songs, and that's what this story's about. That's what this song is about. Playing guitar, writing songs, and that was Zack Petti. We produced the theme song for the show, Playing Guitar, Writing Songs, and it's hard to believe that it's been a year now that we've been producing this show. I'm going to show you how to play the theme song, along with a trick I learned on how to write music, right after this anniversary show. Music, music, music is the window to our soul. We tell the stories that need to be told. Spread the word with music. Making music, that's what our show is about today. My name is Dan Brillman, and this is Playing Guitar, Writing Songs, and what's that story about? What's that song about? Playing guitar, writing songs, and on this show we have a guest who is a musician and someone I've worked with producing songs. Here's a short video to show you some of what Zack does. I'd like you to meet a music producer and an amazing musical talent, Zack Petti. He's in his recording studio, what he calls the room, and he's going to show us what he does and how he does it.
Technically, I don't really know. It's kind of magic, but we point microphones at instruments and we record them through an audio interface via the Firewire cable into Pro Tools. And then we play around with it for hours and hours and hours until it sounds like it sounds in the room.
And that's the trick, getting the tracks perfect. Hey, Zack. Thanks for being on our show today. We're really excited.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, you know, today, one of our crew members, who is Gary, and he's on camera right now, but he also happens to be Zack's father. We have a short interview with him and a clip of Zack when he first started out.
Dave was about 10 years old. He wanted to start playing drums, so we signed him up to a local school down by us. And then Zachary was interested. I've always had an old guitar hanging around the house. Didn't play very well. So he wanted to try, and I says, take the guitar, and we signed him up too. And the two of them just fell in love with it, and they've been doing it since they were 10 and 14 years old, so the last 20 years. He got into more of the recording part of it all. He likes the idea of making music and helping other musicians improve their songs. So he really loves that part of it. He's got a little studio down in Taunton that he works out of. My father played drums when he was a young man in the Brockton area, and I had a little band that used to go around with and play some of the church dances, that kind of thing. And their grandmother on their mother's side was also, she was a professional singer. She sang for years in a lot of the local clubs. She was very good. Very proud of them. Very proud for them, very happy for them. Something they can do the rest of their lives.
Well, that was pretty amazing to see Zack so young starting out with the guitar. And Zack, I know you were really young in that video. What were you, about 17, you said?
Maybe even younger. That one, 15, 16, 17.
15,
right around
16.
there. Yeah.
So what got you started in music?
Dave, my little brother playing drums, kind of influenced me to try it.
I know your parents were definitely supportive of what you're doing. So how important is it to have the encouragement of your family behind you?
I think it's the biggest. They were always there. As you can see, my dad filmed a lot of that stuff. He filmed almost all the shows we ever played with the kids. And they facilitated everything. Even the amp you'll see me play today was the first amp my dad ever bought me with my first electric guitar. Still works, still use it, obviously. Yeah. And so they were huge. I can't thank them enough. Yeah, and I know it was fantastic that your father took me to the House of Blues to see you guys playing, your brother and you, and that was really a great time. That was fun. You know, we've been working together for about a year now, and we'd like to show a video to the audience about it. Now, I've done tracks dozens and dozens of times, and when I get done, I take them off my computer and email them to Zack. Recording a new song. So what I'm gonna do is show you what Dan sends me.
Now what I do is I record a voice and guitar track together as if I'm making up the song or writing the song. Come on down to Bay Road. And then I do another track, a second track, where I just do the guitar. And then I do a third track with the voice. Come on down to Bay Road. And then I let Zack do his magic. We'll take a walk in the woods.
You gotta imagine the sound as a visual spectrum, kind of like a. If you want to view it this way, there's like a rainbow. If you listen on headphones, which not a lot of people do these days, headphones, you will hear certain things in certain places in the mix, and it's really all it is, to me at least. And I just work on capturing the sound correctly at the time of recording so that it's a lot easier to mix and blend. Like you're saying, there's really not much you have to do in the mix process if you got it to sound right the first time.
Well, I can't tell you how much fun it is to jam with Zack like that. And you know, the technology, as you saw in that video, there's some serious technology behind music production right now, these days. And can you tell me, what's it like for you as a young person to be working with this technology?
It's awesome. As you can see, we get to send each other stuff from our own homes, so that's pretty cool. And it's easy. I think things are portable. I've done sessions in church before where I brought my whole rig that we record with at my studio. I can take it all with me, which is nice. You couldn't do that back in the day. And we can do remote sessions like we do. I do stuff with a friend of mine from California, and we send stuff to each other.
I know, it's pretty fantastic. A lot of musicians are doing that nowadays.
Yeah, I think it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge because the email, you can just send your tracks to someone else and they can work on them too. Zack, can you tell us a little bit about your band, The Bruvs?
Yeah, it's me and my brother, Dave. My friend came up with that awesome name, Bruvs. It's just the two of us, guitar and drums, 2 vocals, and we smash around and throw our hair around.
Yeah, you certainly do. I've watched you. You know, you do a little bit different than what we do together as my music, because I've seen you, like at the House of Blues when you were standing on top of your amplifier.
Yeah, I like to do that.
I know, it's kind of fun. You know, Zack, you work on all kinds of music, and I know my music is really different from some of the other music that you work on. And we have a video to play that shows a little bit about that. And I was wondering, what's it like for Zack to work on my songs?
Something we gotta end right there. I think it's great. I think it's a little old school. It's a little different, a little more folky, I think. but it's a fun thing for me to do because it's a different place for me to experiment in. Like I play a lot of harder rock stuff, even like more bluesy stuff with the Quins if I fill in for them. And sometimes I get into synthesizer music here on my own, so it's kind of different to be mixing acoustic guitars, and I like that. It's a good challenge. It's something I used to not be good at, and I've learned some things about it. And this project's made me listen to some other stuff that either I might not listen to or just I never thought of, just to get ideas on mixing and stuff like that.
I just love that riff. I mean, it keeps going over and over in my head. The song "Back to the Land," when I wrote it, it was a lot different than that, but that riff really brought something to it that was so beautiful, so I don't know, inspirational for me. You know, and I know it's really hard to adjust to different types of music. I'm so used to what I do. So how do you make the adjustment? Because I know you work with all types of music. I need to be always finding new stuff, I think. Stuff that's gonna motivate me, kind of make me go back in and keep playing. Which is hard sometimes because I kind of get bored, even though there's so much music out there, there's almost too much coming at you at all times, so it gets hard to pick which one. Well, I know that it's not easy to produce music. I mean, I've seen some of the tracks that you work on. I mean, I can sometimes redo one track 50 times, but I know that you work and redo tracks, and you're sometimes putting 30 or 40 tracks into a song. Mm-hmm. So that's, I mean, you know, that's an amazing amount of work. Now, we have another clip that we want to play that shows a little bit about how much work goes into producing a song. And it's really important for Zack to acknowledge the bands, the producers, and the engineers that work so hard to make the finished product of a song. And he knows what goes into it. It's a lot of work. It may look easy on TV when you see the finished product, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into producing music. You've got some keyboards here. You got a bass track here. You've got some auxiliary kind of claps and shakers and tambourines all in this general area. You've got some guitar right about here, some more guitars back here, some more guitars that are muted and not being used right now. This takes a lot of hard work recording music, and some people do it, you know, a lot of people do it at home now and in small studios. And people don't realize an album can come out and it gets forgotten about in a couple weeks, and people don't realize it maybe took a year to make. And no one really notices, no one really knows that, I think. A lot of consumers don't realize how much work and how many more people are in the background of albums, you know? Engineers don't really get much credit these days. Okay, I like this, and then, you know what I mean? Yeah. Bring it in after the 8 bars. Okay. And then maybe the keyboards in after the 8 more bars. Oh, like build it all up like that? Yeah. I got you. So music is so much more than what it looks like on TV. It looks so easy to produce, but it's a lot of hard work. And as I was working with Zack, I was finding out that I was learning a lot from him. So as I work on my music, I realize that there's a lot of learning. No matter how old you get or how young you are, there's a lot of learning involved, and you'll never run out of things to learn about the guitar. So let's see, the 5th fret has, what is this? A, D, G, C, E, A. You know, Zack, I have to admit to you that I've been playing the guitar for about 50 years off and on, give or take, but you know, I'm just getting to the point where I'm really starting to learn the most important things about music, and it's just amazing. I'm having so much fun with it. What do you do when you put your music producer hat on? What do you think about? What is the most important thing about producing a song? Getting a nice final piece, a nice cohesive, fluid representation of what you were going for, I think. I kind of just listened to your original demo and try to do my best to just bring out what it's asking for, not force anything onto it.
What is asking for?
Kind of like what it's hard to explain. Maybe like what I hear in the background when I'm hearing just your guitar. What naturally comes to mind when I think of drums or bass.
Yeah.
And just lay it down and work it out. And if it doesn't sound good after that, not be afraid to trash it and do a whole nother one.
Yeah.
A whole nother bass line or a drum take.
I know, because when I'm sitting home and all of a sudden I get that email from you and it has the tracks of what you've done, I'm like, whoa, this is great. I mean, I just never expected it. Songs are just so different, but yet they're still the same. I mean, it must be hard to do that, to be able to keep. I know it's been really important for you to, you say, okay, I like your voice, I like the way you play the guitar, so I don't want to step on that.
No, definitely not. I try to keep you you and not bury it and keep it alive, and just let you do your thing and let me kind of just put some glitter around it, so to speak.
And I know you've worked with a lot of other groups. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the, you know, high school kids even?
Yeah, high school kids from Abington High School. It was their first recording ever last summer.
And I know you had another person that plays the guitar and his girlfriend sings, and she wasn't a professional singer, but you were able to make that really sound good.
Yeah, definitely. And I record and play with some guys in a band called Trist up in Dorchester. We do that a lot too, and I'll be recording my good friend's band Today Junior this coming September.
Today
We're gonna
Junior,
do an album, yeah.
We have another video that shows another side of you. Let's take a look at that one. You know, I got to tell you, when I watch Zack standing on top of that amplifier, waving his hair around and getting into all these power chords and stuff, I would think that, you know, this guy's a rock and roller. But he's also a person that could produce a video like that and mic it, and that was so beautiful. I mean, it must have been hard to mic something like that.
It was definitely challenging at first, but I kind of just rolled with the punches, and they were patient, so I could do some test trials, maybe do a song first and listen back to it. But it worked out pretty good, much better than I kind of thought it would.
You know, you've hit on something there. I know when I do videos, it's really important to try to do everything just right, but it's also, you have this urge to hurry up because people are waiting for you. And that's a real dilemma. And so you said they had the patience to wait for you to set everything up.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. There's not enough time ever for any kind of recording, video, audio, anything. There's never, ever enough time. Even when it's done and you think you had enough time, you could always have more.
We have a video about you working on your own music, and we're going to take a look at that one.
Going back to the land.
What's it like to be a musician, you know, creating your own music and in this world today?
It's fantastic. I think having computers and stuff like that is like a dream come true. As Neil Young said, I think I heard him say once, he always dreamed, him and his friends dreamed of being able to get in the studio one day, in the dead of the day, write a song, record it, and then jam it in the car on the way home. And that's what we can do now. And I think that's pretty cool. And it's kind of, you know, taught me things about myself and made me kind of a different person, being able to just lock myself in the room and kind of write for a long time. And just experiment with working on how to make, you know, the guitar sound the same it does right here when we're listening as it does through a microphone, through all this stuff coming out these speakers, because it takes a lot more than you think, not just sticking it there. So it's, yeah, I've learned a lot. Alright, so we'll just do something like that.
Yeah, so Zack is really into playing all kinds of stuff. And, you know, you told me that you sometimes play in a stream of consciousness. What is a stream of consciousness?
It's another way to say improvise, I guess. My teacher was very adamant about teaching me how to improvise and be on my feet. He always had this idea of, like, if you're jamming with a bunch of guys and they yell out a key in a, you know, 12-bar blues or something like that, you want to be able to jump in with them and be able to hang. So I've just taken that and kind of ran with it. And even with the recording thing, being able to just do things on the fly and kind of not worry about where it's going or how perfect it is necessarily the first time, just letting it stream out is really how you get stuff, how you really get good results. And then you can refine it later and make it nice.
There's so many people out there that probably have a lot of talent like you do and maybe don't take that step like you did. So do you have any advice for some of the young people out there that are struggling with their music?
Yeah, get some kind of recording software and just start playing alone in your room. You don't need anyone else if you're that afraid. You can do it all by yourself with a little computer and a couple microphones. I think that's huge for anyone who wants to write a song. They should have some kind of recording device to be able to play it back and listen to it.
Yeah, even on your computer, you usually have a program where you can, you know, sing into the microphone of the computer. It won't sound that great, but if you say put down a guitar track and then you start working on a rhythm track and you just practice over and over, pretty soon you're getting real good and it's not boring. You know, music practice can get boring.
And you never want to forget anything. Even when my brother and I practice as bruvs, I hook up all the microphones because there's only two of us and I can mic up the whole room and I can hit record and we can practice for an hour, 2 hours, and it's all captured in the computer. And I'll even go back and listen, and right now I'm writing some lyrics to some riffs that we did, and we'll probably make them into a song.
Yeah.
And they're from about 2 years ago.
Yeah. So how important is it to have fun with your music?
That's probably the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you do that?
Change it up a lot. Don't do the same stuff too much. Like we said, change the genres. Don't be afraid to do new stuff. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Zack, you know, we want to thank you for being our guest today. You're a multi-talented musician and artist and music producer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me work on your music.
If people want to learn more about your music, how do they get in touch with you?
Bruvs is the easiest way to find us. It's probably going to pop up on Google if you type in Bruvs Band. And from there, you'll find The Room. I have an Instagram page and an email, theroomrecording@gmail.com.
And how do you spell Bruvs?
BRUVS.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank Zack again for being on the show, and I want to thank him for all the work that he does on my songs. Thank you so much, Zack. And I'd like to thank our fabulous crew because they make this show a reality. Tracy Crean, Billy Davis, Linda Davis, Gary Petti, Justin Shanahan, and a special thank you to Sue Dunbar, our newest crew member. And we also have Kathy Petti, Zack's mom, in the studio. Thanks for joining us, Kathy. And I really want to thank Marilyn Brillman for producing this show. She works super hard. She's out there typing the scripts, putting them in the teleprompter, working extreme hours just to get this show so it looks the way it does. And I want to thank you, Marilyn, for all the work you're doing.
the land. We're going back to nature, yeah. We're going back to the land, to the land, to the land. We're going back to Mother Nature, yeah. We're going back to the land, to the land.
Well, as promised, I'm going to teach you how to play playing guitar, writing songs, and. Now it starts off with the B chord, except that I'm using the C sharp here. Hear that sound? So when I press down the C sharp with the B chord, it has that mournful sound, I think. To play the B chord, you're using your ring finger to press down the 4 strings on the 4th fret. And you're using your index finger to press down all of the strings. It's called a bar chord. All of the strings on the 2nd fret. And you're pressing down the C sharp so it sounds a little like this. And that's the B chord with the C sharp. That's the E chord. To play an E chord, this is an open E, you're using your index finger to press down the 3rd string of the 1st fret. And then you're using your middle finger to press down the 5th string of the 2nd fret. And then you're using your ring finger to press down the 4th string of the 2nd fret. And that's an E. So I'm going from the B with the C sharp to the E chord. And what that does is it gives me that sound, that melody that I hear in my head. I don't know if you hear it, but playing guitar, writing songs, and that's what this story's about. I'm Dan Brillman for e-awakening.com.